Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. How are you? This is Jamal Burt, CEO of EBO Educational Services, and I am so pleased to be here tonight with y'all. EBO Live, here I am again on a Tuesday night. I will say this, that last night I had one on Monday night, usually Monday at 9, but last night I had a lot of feedback, technical difficulties, so here I am again tonight to kind of, we fixed them. Everything's cool. So now we can go ahead with the show. Now, even though I may not be getting too many people here tonight, I'd like to. Please share this if you're listening. If not, please just bring people in and say what's up. Tonight, we're going to be talking about something very, very interesting. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the ugh. Good, the bad, and the ugh. Now, what does that mean? The good, the bad, and the is the state of education in the U.S. What is it that's going on in the U.S. that's making education, people are like kind of losing faith in it a little bit? I've heard a lot of talk about education as far as parents stating they're losing faith in the teachers, losing faith in what the kids are learning. I see a lot of students who are upset with what's going on in the classrooms where they can't relate to their teachers or the teachers can't relate to them. I hear a lot of teachers feeling like their hands are tied because they can't seem to get in the classroom and teach how they want to teach or teach what they want to teach. And so they're forced to teach towards tests, and they don't really feel that that's part of their passion. So tonight I want to address some of these things. I also would like to talk about, just the fact that in the educational system as a whole, worldwide, beginning to see that America is beginning to fall in the ranks when it comes to education as internationally. So I definitely want to address these things tonight, and I'm also going to be talking about some stats that I saw and some information that I want to give you guys to kind of get you to see that it could be a dire thing, but there's some solutions we can do about it. All right, and I want your comments. Tonight was supposed to be open to the public, to the audience, for commentary. I want to be able to feel what your questions are and your thoughts and concerns are about education. What is it, the things that you're worried about, or some of the things that you've gone through? And all you have to do is comment, and then I'll put your comment up on the screen, and then we can talk about the comment that you've made. So if you're watching this now, please share this, or please send this out to somebody, or invite somebody into the room. I would really like to see you. All right, cool. So again, the good, the bad, and the ugh in education, the state of education in the United States. As an educator, I've noticed that, I was in the classroom for a while. Actually, I was in the classroom for about 7 years. And after what I saw in the classroom, it kind of made me feel, I kind of lost the taste for it. I still teach in classrooms now. I do it freelance, or I do it, contracted to different schools, and I go in and I teach schools, middle schools and high schools. What I saw, was that we were forced to be able to teach a lot of stuff that, I don't know, that didn't really connect with the kids. And I had to basically find a way to make it connect. And good teachers do that. Really good teachers are able to get in there. And if you have a teacher that does that, it's awesome. It's awesome. Cherish that teacher. Make them feel like they're doing a great job, because it's really tough to be a good teacher and to get them, to get some material that may be dry or boring and have it, relate to the children, whether it be middle schoolers or high schoolers. It's tough to do that. So I commend you. Hats off to teachers who are still in the trenches doing well. But again, what's bad? What's going on? What's happening? Why is it that our children are not engaged anymore? Why is it that they don't want to go to school anymore? Why is it that they're not connecting with their teachers anymore? What do you think it is? All right. So let's see. From what I've heard that kids are telling me, or students are telling me, that they just can't relate to their teacher. That their teacher's a little too, what's the word I'm looking for? Stiff, stern, does not talk about, things that they can relate to, or relate the material to things that they can relate to. And I think that's upsetting. I think that these students deserve a better chance in the classroom. I think that teachers are moving too fast for them as well, piling on way too much work. And a kid is not going to learn by the amount of worksheets you give them or about a project you give them. A kid's going to learn because the teacher is actually connecting with them. And so the child feels like they want to connect with the teacher and get what the teacher is, receive what the teacher is giving, basically. So that's very important. All right, I want to show you guys something that I picked up. And if you look at this stat right here, if you look closely, it says notable achievement gaps across every grade level. Now, if you look, they have different grade levels. We have 3rd grade, 8th grade, 11th grade, All right, third grade, eighth grade, 11th grade in language arts and math. The dark blue is low income students, and the light blue is non-low income students. And notice that if you look at the achievement gaps, it seems like low income students perform lower substantially on every grade level in language arts and math as opposed to high income or non-low income students. Why do you think that is? What can be done about that? What's the issue here? What seems to be the problem? Any solutions? Anybody have any thoughts? Anybody want to comment on that? Well, I think a big problem, I mean, this is an easy thing to comment on, is this. Low-income students usually live in low-income areas. Low-income areas have low-income schools in them. When allocations are being sent out every single year, from the school board to different schools, the low-income schools get lower allocations. And therefore, these schools don't get enough, materials, resources to use. Their facilities are usually falling apart. They don't get teachers who are being paid enough to even have enough passion about their. Now, don't get me wrong, teachers don't have to be paid to have passion, but after a while, teachers will lose passion for what they're doing because they're not being compensated for the efforts they have. So with that combination, that mess up combination right there, you got schools that underperform and underachieve. Come on, you're a kid in a classroom. You guys don't have teachers who are experienced enough to manage a classroom well, or even give the instruction enough because they're not paid enough, or they don't. Oh, some of the teachers who are paid enough, they're wearing way too many hats because the school can't afford to pay a different teacher for different subjects. So they have the coach, the coach of the football team teaching math or teaching interior design and teaching, an English class. And they're taking over all these different roles so that they can't really focus on one level and one class alone. So, the teaching becomes like halfway, and that's not really good. Kids don't have computers. They don't have ways to get on the internet. If they have computers, they don't have somebody teaching them how to use the computers for research or, do better in the classroom. So without all these things, these kids underperform because they're basically not giving all the tools they have or they need to perform. They can't go on the field trips that other schools go on because they can't afford to go on the field trips. You ask where the parents are. The parents are low-income parents. They can't afford to pay some of the field trips that these kids even could go on. So it's like a rough cycle that never ends. And one of the ways that this could be solved is simple: reallocate. Don't just give money based on the fact that this is a low-income area. How about you give money and actually give them a lot more money? Now that might sound like doesn't make any sense, but come on. If it's a high-income area already, they're already making enough funds that they can use to go on, on their own to subsist. Take some more of those funds and give it to the lower income students. Now they're able to, catch up, but financially, academically, and it has to happen over time. It just makes too much sense. But of course, there are some people that don't want to give that kind of help. They'd rather let people stay where they are and keep the lines divided very clearly. But that's another issue. All right. So the achievement gap has a lot to do with what I just talked about. And the achievement gap is something that needs to be solved. Because if we keep having this problem where you have low achieving students and high achieving students, what will happen is the haves and the have-nots will continue to grow. And we're noticing over time, if you look, that the have-nots, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And now you have all of America now underachieving because America, I believe, is number 14 worldwide when it comes to education. We used to be number one, not only maybe 30, 40 years ago. And now we're paling in comparison to countries in the Asian areas as far as Singapore, Hong Kong, and Finland. We are, Finland's like number 4 as far as ranking as internationally as far as education is concerned. And one of the biggest differences I see is that they pay their teachers well there. They pay their teachers very well. So the teachers are only given one responsibility to teach one kind of class. And so therefore, the teacher becomes an expert. 1, they're very well versed in what they do. 2, they're teaching their behinds off as hard as they can because, they're getting paid well for their job. So they really take what they're doing seriously. And plus they regard education much more seriously over there culturally. In America, where do we put most of our emphasis on? Entertainment, athletics. I'm telling you, that's who gets paid the most. And therefore, that will go on and on forever and thrive. But education is put on the back burner as far as money is concerned. And so now you have kids who can tell you who the hottest rapper is now or the best athlete on the field. They can tell you that, they can run that off to you and debate about it all day long. But if you ask them who won the Nobel Peace Prize, last year and say, I don't know, physics, they probably couldn't tell you. So it's very important to understand that. All right. Which gets us to talk about student engagement. Student engagement. How do we relate to kids? How do we get their material to get the kids to be interested in what the teacher's talking about? Well, I'll tell you this. You got to make it fun. You got to be able to take any topic and turn it into a guessing game. Turn it into a game about, I don't know, just something that they would play outside. Have them play it outside, but then add an academic element to it. It's important. All right. I'm going to keep moving on because even though I don't see too many viewers on this, I really want to touch about some things, and I don't have all night to do this. Even though I'd love to spend more time with you guys, I think it's awesome. There's so many topics we could talk about. I think some of the things I mentioned was student engagement. That was one. Another thing was behavior and suspensions. We talked about that. Another thing was talking about was teacher-parent relations. Very important. And how that needs to be increased. Parents. You need to join something having to do with the school. I know your lives are busy, but I swear to you, if you are sitting here and you know that your kids are most important to you and you're hustling out here working hard for the kids, then why aren't you going to the PTA meetings? Why is it that the PTA is not getting together and making or have a good enough PTA to get together and get the fundraisers you need so that your school is low income? They can at least subsidize or make some of this money to kind of get what the kids need. It's very important. Oh, hey, what's going on, Keandra? Has it got you in the room? What's going on? Good to see you. All right, please make a comment. Say what's going on. All right, tell me what you're thinking or what you're wondering about this. All right, but back to teacher-parent relations. Guys, parents, you got to be more involved. You're the bread and butter of the whole thing when it comes to education. I always say that the teacher is the head of everything, all right, but the parent is the body, all right, and the child is the mind that we're feeding into. With all three of those things, we can go somewhere. But if we can't go anywhere because the head is not directing, it doesn't work. I also talk about the pipeline to prison. I wanted to talk about whether or not is college worth it? Is college really worth the price of admission? I'm noticing there's a uprise in a lot of kids, a lot of teenagers who are now deciding that I don't want to go to college. There was a kid I talked to last week at church when he was, I asked him, so what school you want to go to? He said, I don't want to go to school. I was like, whoa. And this kid was like a straight A student, by the way. Now the parents kind of look at me like, yeah, okay. He's saying that now. The kid's a freshman. But I could tell he meant it. And I asked him, I was like, why not? He says, because I can, do what I need to do without being in school. I can start my own business. And I was like, okay, well, at least you have a plan. We have a lot of kids who don't have a plan. That's the problem. Okay, is college worth it? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not going to argue that anymore. What I'm going to argue is, does your kid have a plan for after high school? Okay, are they planning to go to the military? That's fine. Are they planning on getting a trade? That's fine. Do they have a trade school they want to go to? Do they plan on going to college? Excuse me. That's fine. But these kids have to have a plan, and parents, you have to be willing to support that plan. Because if you were willing on supporting, what they were going to do, go to college, but you're not willing to support their dreams as far as them having a good, decent plan to come after school. Because there's a lot of ways you can make money nowadays without having to go to college. Times have changed. When I was growing up, go to school, go to high school, graduate, go to college, get a good job. Okay, well, we know now that when you go to college, you may not get a good job outside of college. A lot of what people do now who come out of college are doing it, and it's something they could have done without having to go to college. I could have started tutoring without going to college. Now, of course, my credentials helped me out a little bit. They opened some doors for me. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's not necessary anymore like it used to be. A lot of people are not going to like me saying this, but as an educator, I'm telling you, if the job of education is to properly socialize our children to join society and be productive members, if the child finds a way to be a productive member without having to go to college but still produce, why not? All right. So all these issues I wanted to talk about, and those of you who watch this on the back end, I want you to know, hey, I'm open to talk about these things. Please send me some stuff that you feel about it and about what I've said here. Again, the achievement gap, we got student engagement, we got behavior and suspensions, We got teacher-parent relations. We got pipeline to prison. Oh, I didn't mention that. That's a big one. Because it has to do with behavior and suspensions and how they suspend people. Is college worth it? Right? Is there anything else I missed? Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about? Please let me know what it is that you'd want to talk about in regards to education. I'd love to open the floor to anybody who wants to speak about this. We all go to school. We've all been to school, and we all have children who are in school, or children who know we're in school. But why don't we ever talk about it openly, and maybe we can come up with a solution? Speaking of solutions, the good, the bad, and the in education, in the state of education, we want to talk about solutions. There are people who are making solutions right now. There's one big solution that I noticed, and that's the emergence of homeschooling. And I wanted to show you guys a video on the tail end of this to kind of talk about what this is. And let me bring this up. And as I bring this up, please, if you see this post, let people know every Monday night, 9 o'clock. I'm going to try this one more time to get people to come in here and really discuss what it is that we talked about. Okay, what I talked about. I really want you guys to do that. Okay? All right, let me pull this up here. I'm going to show you what we can. I want to show you an alternative that can be done. Let me show you an alternative that we can use. Here. All right, here we go. Tell me what you guys think about this. If you're watching, or if you watch this on the back end, please make a comment and tell me what you think about this video as far as an alternative for education. Homeschooling is a big alternative, and here's a one way that homeschool is being done all across the United States. Let's see what you think about
it. Exactly. This is the language arts class at the Kamali African American Homeschool Cooperative in Harvey, Louisiana. So everybody got that assignment for tomorrow? Taught by Professor Amari Johnson, a PhD candidate at the University of Texas.
We've been saying that you hold on to a true friend with both hands. Is that literal? Are you going to walk around with your friend like this all the time?
No.
No? All right, so what do they mean by that? Are they speaking literally or figuratively there? So
this is part of a growing nationwide trend among black parents who are now homeschooling their kids. Until recently, homeschooling in the U.S. was practiced mostly by white parents. Now black parents, like those here, are leaving public schools for the same reason as white parents. They're fed up with the lack of discipline, bullying, disinterested teachers, and a system they say all too often writes off black kids, particularly black males.
I'm not getting paid for this, no notoriety or anything. This is my life. This is what I do. I got to raise my kids the best way I know how.
They're not being exposed to things that I wouldn't approve of. I know who's educating them, what they're learning, how they're learning. I'm more involved with the process.
A process that also stresses the importance of African American history.
We got to stick our neck out. Harriet Tubman stuck her neck out for us.
I am, more pleased with having not only them learning math, science, language arts, so on and so forth, but their story as well.
9-year-old Ya Mitchell says she's never been happier.
What's your favorite subject?
Well, my favorite subject is our story because it teaches me about my culture, where I came from, and who I am.
Mm-hmm. And how do you feel about that?
Well, it feels good because I finally get to know who I am instead of just being just a random person.
I am going to walk through this sphere and do what I have to do for my people. If our education is not teaching us as black people how to solve our own problems, then we're being miseducated. We're being culturally misoriented.
Dr. Samori Kamara, a history PhD from the University of Texas, runs the Kamali Homeschool Cooperative, which is just one of 2 ways you can homeschool your children. You can register with the state and do it alone, or join a group of parents in a co-op.
It's a cooperative. So we have people like Brother Elijah who comes in to teach. We have Brother, Amari who comes in to teach. We have Mama Abena who teaches different things because you may not know math. You may not know science, but you know somebody else who does.
To answer critics of the process, Dr. Kamara says homeschoolers enter college at similar rates and are often 2 to 3 years ahead of their public school counterparts because class size is much smaller, parents are more driven, and have more flexibility.
If you get off of work at 5 o'clock and you want your child to learn from 5 to 8, then do it that way, because you don't have all the fluff that's going on in the public school system. Our children can do what they need to do in about 4 hours a day.
Plus, he says there are no disciplinary distractions.
Now, a lot of the students I heard address you when talking to you as sir, yes, sir. Is that by design?
Yes, definitely.
Why?
I mean, well, we have a situation here where we definitely want our children to be disciplined. We want them to understand that their elders deserve respect.
Although the federal government has no current statistics on the number of black kids being homeschooled, the National Black Home Education Research Institute says the movement is increasing exponentially all over the country.
You know, Norman, it really is an interesting.
All right. So, watching that, seeing that video, what does that make you think? It can be done. Alternatives can be done. It's difficult for parents to do homeschooling simply because, they have to go out and make a living for their child. But there are ways where you can actually hire people or hire instructors for your child to do the homeschooling, or places you can take your child for homeschooling. EBO has probably worked on that for a while. It's very difficult to do, but we can do it. So what I would do is, go out here and look for the homeschool associations. If you look, every state has a homeschool association. Look it up. If you think that there's an alternative that you want for your child besides the school system, if you're not happy with the state of education in the United States makes it very easy for you to have different opportunities to homeschool your child. And the rules are very lenient in Georgia. You just got to find somebody that's willing to do it, and make sure that they spend 4.5 hours a day with that person teaching them, however many days there is out of the week, and they get what they need. All right. So anyway, folks, I thank you, even though I only have a few people coming here. Thank you, Tiana. How you doing? I'm glad you're still here. Oh, thank you, Tiana. That's real sweet of you. That's real cool. All right. And, thank you, Keandra Renee. I'm glad you're still here, checking it out. All right. Folks, listen. Please invite more people. I want to talk about more important issues, but I want you guys to kind of drive the content too, not just me. Education is something that we all are invested in. So please, 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 please get your people to come in every Monday, 9 o'clock. Monday at 9, I do this and I talk about educational issues. And I'd love to get parent point of views. I'd love to get point of views from educators. I'd love to get point of views from your students. I would love to have a show with students that come on here and tell me about their point of view about the educational process and what can be done and what kind of schools they want. And I just want us to hear about it. We can have a lot of fun. I want to get guests on here that talk about different issues in the educational arena. So please let people know that I'm doing this. Let people know that I'm out here. I want to make a difference in the community as far as creating a dialogue when it comes to education, finally, not just in the Black community, but also in the community as a whole, because the education, field is extensive, and there's a lot of people who are not feeling comfortable with the education system on every race, creed, and color. All right. So please come on and join me every Monday night, 9 o'clock, EBO Live. Love to see you next week, you guys. Take care. And next week, I'll be continuing this conversation. And hopefully, this can go somewhere. Bring your people. I need comments. I want to put your comments up here. Any of y'all got something to say about this? Come on. Let's talk about it. Y'all take care. God bless.